You're listening to Heritage Radio Network.
Since 2009, HRN podcasts have been exploring the wide world of food, beverage, and agriculture. Learn more at heritageradionetwork.org.
We talk about food, we talk about music with musical dudes. Finger on the pulse, snacky tunes.
Hello and welcome to Snacky Tunes. I'm your host, Darren Bresnitz. Today we go back to my hometown, the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, where we chat with chef and restaurateur Kelsey Bush. She talks about growing up in Hershey, PA, her going to culinary school, the time she spent learning to work on a farm, and how she has gotten to be able to serve the reigning Super Bowl champions, the Philadelphia Eagles, Pop-Tarts and pastries every home game this past year. And then it's a deep dive into the archives where Brooklyn trio, The Unders, swung by to play songs from their then recent EP, Sight Guest, and talk about their upcoming LP. It's a fun time and a delicious conversation with everyone involved. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy Snacky Tunes here on HRN. Kelsey, welcome to Snacky Tunes. First things first, go Birds. Did they give you
Go Birds
for being the Pop-Tart and pastry provider all the way up to the Super Bowl championship?
Oh, they're so supportive all the time. They are just like the best thing ever. And honestly, like the city just bleeds green, just breathes so much for our sports teams. And it's just like such a community connection for us that we were always just so pumped to do it. And so it was just like the fact that we just went all the way this year just solidified for us how much we love doing it.
Oh, yeah. Well, if anyone from the team is listening, just send them your ring size and maybe something will show up at the door. Let's go back to the beginning because it seems like food has been in your life forever. And you grew up in Hershey, PA, which might be the most famous chocolate-based city in America. I won't dip my toe into France or the Swiss. Where do you remember about growing up with food? When did you first start getting into it? When did it start becoming something more to you than just I'm cooking with my family?
Oh, that started really early on for me. It has always been a family thing. Both my grandmas cooked so much as a kid for me, and my mom can't cook at all, which was super sweet. But I got everything from my grandmas, and I was super fortunate that I still had a home economics class in my public school.
Mm-hmm.
And
me too. I had one.
Yeah, and in sixth grade, through the home ec class, they started to be like, okay, we're going to make biscuits. Okay, we're going to do this. And I remember it very vividly. They taught us how to make chicken noodle soup, and we made the pasta and everything. And I was just like so excited to do it. And I went home and I made it for my parents, and it was like nothing special. It was bouillon cubes for the broth and everything.
Sure.
But like they ate it, and as an 11-year-old, they were like, "No, this is really good. Like I think you're good at this." And I was like, "Oh, okay," and just like didn't really think anything of it. But I have a very proactive. Her lack of cooking skills, she makes up for in her proactiveness. My mother is one of those people that like she just hears like one little thing and she'll run with it. And she got me into this like cooking camp over the summer aimed for kids. It was like a 10 to 12-year-old age frame, and we would go every day and cook a new item for like a week. And I just had a blast doing it. And then my mother signed me up to be a volunteer sous chef in that. And I did that all through high school.
Wow.
And in addition to cooking like a regular school. And I just said to my parents, I was like, I think I want to be a chef. And I never thought twice about it. I was just always a very like straightforward, some people say stubborn, little kid. I just always had my mind made up, and I was like, I'm going to cook. And this was also in the day and age when Food Network was just becoming hot. And I watched like Emerald Lagasse and Alton Brown. And it was just all these things of so much like food was right there for you on your TV. But in a way, for being in central Pennsylvania, I was only ever exposed to Pennsylvania Dutch, which is like what I grew up and
shoe fly pie.
My grandma was. Shoe fly pie all the way. Shoe fly pie, like chicken pot pie, but like not in
all the pies.
The press form, but in the pot and all that stuff. So very, very country style eating and very home style. And so to see all these different cuisines on the TV was my first ever experience with that. And then going to my advisor at this cooking school that I worked at, she went to CIA, Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park. And I was like, of course I'm going to go there. And I didn't like think anything of it. It was the only school I would consider even going to. I didn't apply to anything else besides it. It didn't even occur to me that I could possibly need to have like a runner up or something like that. That's how like focused I was on doing this. And then when I went to school, I had this huge aha moment of what the hell am I doing? It was the first time I had ever, it was the first time in my career that I had ever been around so many different types of foods. So people were talking about like famous chefs I had never heard of, ingredients I had never heard of. And it was like a huge humbling moment for me because I was like, had a panic attack. It was the first time I had ever questioned, like, could I do this? And my parents were like, and this was at 18. And my parents were like, no, like, you can do it. Like, I think you can. Like, they were always so supportive of anything, but like in my lowest moments of my career, I always turned to them. And I just remember finally getting into classes and like, it just clicked. It was always the thing that I was always a good like student, but I had to work for it. But like with cooking, it always just came super natural to me.
You hit on a really good point because a lot of times when we talk to people who wind up in culinary school, maybe they came from like a bigger city or something that's, after they get into cooking in restaurants and they want to go refine it. But you do, your experience of being in a smaller town, especially in that, late 90s, early 2000s era of like, food wasn't what it is now. And the Culinary Institute being the beacon of people who go, I want to see the world through food and do it at the top level was really important at the time. And to hear that your parents were so supportive it's rarer than people think. Because now it's like, I'm going to go be a chef. And everyone's like, okay, cool. I've watched The Bear. I get what that is.
Right. Yeah.
But back then it was much more of a leap of faith, especially if parents like want you to go out into the world and have a career that they could understand?
Well, that was a big thing because my grandparents, my grandma Loretta, when I graduated, she was like, well, aren't you going to be a TV chef? That was her like point of what she thought success would be. And I was like, at this point in time, had already done about 3 years of culinary school. And I was just like, Grandma, there's like so much other things that can happen. Yeah. I was like, this is it.
This is it. Yeah. I think I had that conversation with my grandma for decades after getting into media. She's like, so what are you going to do? I was like, I'm sort of doing it, Grandma.
Doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you go to culinary school and, you take that normal path afterwards, fine dining restaurants, go cut your teeth. But I'm more interested about your leap to go working on a biodynamic farm because, taking that era of when the farm to table was around, but it wasn't as, just so normal as it is now. How quickly did you realize that starting with the ingredients was going to be really important for what you do in building your culinary career?
So my dad grew up on a farm, and like, even though we didn't grow up on a farm, much of my childhood was in farm country and everything. But it was actually in school when I got introduced to what farm to table was. It was very new. Mm-hmm. Alice Waters was like the forefront of everything within like my culinary school's knowledge of that. And then everything going on in California, everyone talks about the produce and everything that way. And we got introduced, especially being in the Hudson Valley with so much fresh produce and so much like good food, of why the food was good and respecting the ingredients. But for me, it was always like, I wanted to work on a farm to actually understand how things grow, how things are connected and all of that stuff. And I did the thing. I graduated school and I became a barista because I was really into coffee.
Love it.
Right. And the baristing really taught me, like, not only was I learning front of house experience, but within the baristing, I learned how to like cook as a barista and show and talk and give customer service at the same time, which is like this such a unique experience. But I was really missing working with ingredients and food and that. And I was like young and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go work on a farm. Through that, there wasn't too many options at that point in time. It was like you could wolf, which is such a great way to see the world and such a great way to see experiences. But I really wanted to be invested in as much as I wanted to invest in a farm. So I found a program within Northern California up in Humboldt County that was, is a biodynamic farm that is on about 40 acres on a creek right beside it. So we had water that was always available to us, and it was very multifaceted. So it had steer, oxen, cattle, goats. We milked as well and raised their young as well. We had 4 pigs. We had layer hens that we processed 300 birds every 3 weeks. So we would bring in a new flock, move birds, and then process them. So they were all about being a biodynamic farm. They were all about the whole entire circle of everything connection. In addition to that, they had grains as well. We did barley, in addition to some wheat, but our climate was a little too moist for wheat. So we did a hard outside barley. And then we had 4 different crops of various vegetables that we planted throughout the year. And depending on the climate, depended on what they were able to grow. And that was actually my first time in experience that I look back on it now as a business owner, but they were the first ones to really talk to me about money in a way of, yes, this is farming and this is so beautiful in the way of like what we're doing and like respecting the animals that are giving us our protein and respecting these vegetables and everything. But they were like, no, that acre over there will make us $25,000. And if you mess up on this, that costs us money. And then I can't pay you.
Sure.
I can't make my living. I can't do this or this. And that was like the first time that I was like, yeah, they might be hippies, but they know what they're doing.
And good reminder that at the time, culinary school was still not having business courses or teaching the financials as much as they are focused now on making sure that people know that it's really a business when you go out into the world.
Oh, yeah. And it's like I did have I did have so many different classes within school, but this was like my first real application of it.
Yeah.
And it was the way of me connecting the dots that I was like, oh, okay, this does impact in various different ways.
Yeah. All right, let's take a quick musical break. And when we come back, we're going to take all your learnings and talk about how you made it to Haverford. Shout out to the main line. And then the new restaurant, Loretta. And we'll get a little bit deeper into how you started making Pop-Tarts and pastries for the Eagles, Super Bowl champions of the world right now. Here's a song from the archives on Snacky Tunes on HRN.
It's the world now, don't discriminate. Everyone is equally a master and a slave. It's the world now, don't discriminate. Everyone is equally a master and a slave. How did this happen? How'd this happen? I see you walk past a demonstration, 2 chips on your shoulder. You're a culture connoisseur and your pain is real. 2 chips on your shoulder. Stuck wading through a crowd of radical daughters. Barricades armed by empty strollers. Basic slogans to comic controller. See 'em dance from afar to guitar on your shoulder as you smugly walk past. Think these people should be here, regardless of outcome as you smugly walk past. Think there's a half-off sale at the Barnes and Noble as you smugly walk past. You ask yourself, how did this happen? As you smugly walk past, you ask yourself, how did this happen? You're queuing deep cuts as you glide escalator. 2 chips on your shoulder. Face pressed to glass, looking down at the mass march. 2 cans on your shoulder. Your playlist knows you better than a closest lover. Playlists always desert island disc. Playlists will curate songs of the oppressed. Look at the marquee in 1080p as you smugly walk past. Think these people should be here, regardless of outcome as you smugly walk past. Think there's a half-off sale at the Apple store as you smugly walk past. You ask yourself, how did this happen? As you smugly walk past, you ask yourself, how did this happen? It's the world now, don't discriminate. Everyone is equally a master and a slave. It's the world now, don't discriminate. Everyone is equally a master and a slave. As you smugly walk past, you ask yourself, how did this happen? As you smugly walk past, you ask yourself, how did this happen? This machine, you know it don't kill fascists. This machine just softens its heart. This machine, it killed the dream of the 60s. This machine, you know it's just a guitar. As you smugly walk past, you ask yourself, how did this happen?
Welcome back to Snacky Tunes. We are here with Kelsey Bush, and you're on the farm. You've gone to school, lifelong so far understanding of food and passion for it. And you mentioned about being a barista. When did you start having the inkling that the first thing you're going to open was going to be a cafe, a coffee shop? And how did you land on Philadelphia being on the other side of the country at this moment in time?
Well, before I moved out to California, I had a year from after graduating before California. And that's where I was having my existential crisis of, do I want to cook? What do I want to do? And I got into coffee in that way. And I actually wanted to be a coffee roaster. But who I wanted to work for wouldn't hire me because I had no barista experience. They only had, I only had restaurant experience. So I had to get into that and learn. And the coffee shop the only place that was close to where I lived in central Pennsylvania was Philly. So I was able to get a job down here, move down here. And it taught me so much, just from dialing in espresso. Our roast always changed. Our provider always changed. Like, you never knew what was going to happen, but then it was also like re-solidifying how to connect with customers and how much they connect with you. And, that really, as much as I love hospitality and customer service at the table, I really do love customer service at the barista.
Yeah, and to be honest, as a former barista myself, there is fewer, more personal connections in the culinary world than making someone coffee, especially on a daily basis, especially when they're looking forward to that ritual, getting to know them. And, you got to keep the line moving. So it's a little bit of chit chat, but it still does have enough personal touch that it can get pretty memorable when you think about the customers you've had. And, especially when you're on the line versus opening up a restaurant and you're starting to do more things in the office or at a bigger level and you're not as having an interaction. Understanding how to serve a customer quickly and personally it's a big keystone to making something successful.
Oh, it totally is. I think people nowadays, and it's the big thing that I train my staff on, is just like get to know their drinks. And if you can have that made for them before, if they come in and order the same thing all the time, and you anticipate that for them, and then they are shocked that you pay attention is always the thing that I'm always surprised by. And then it's also going that next step of getting someone's name and remembering their name is they will now be being not endeared to you is honestly what they are. They just love the fact that they have this personal connection way more so than just I'm getting my coffee.
Of course. I mean, knowing what someone wants before they come up, that gives you just extra time to chat with them instead of what did you want? Oh, right. You've been here 57 days in a row and I can't remember what you want is pretty disappointing. Right. Talk to me about the cafe to wine bar pipeline, because I've seen it before where people just start with the morning and then work their way to nighttime.
For us, it was my business partner's background is wine. He loves to teach wine. He loves to have people around a table and he gets to pour whatever he wants. Within Haverford, we have very limited liquor licenses. So back in 2017, the liquor licenses changed in Pennsylvania that allowed a liquor licensed person to be able to retail wine. And we had always wanted to do that. We had looked to purchase a liquor license on the main line, but it was way too expensive and out of our budget. So that's what led us to wanting to open a wine bar. Bloomsday, we opened in 2019 pre-pandemic, and we were open for about 8 months, and then the pandemic hit. And we've been evolving ever since.
Sure. I mean, were you able, and I grew up in Ballackinwood on the main line, so I'm familiar with the Commonwealth sticky laws of selling alcohol in the state of Pennsylvania. Were you able to become a bottle shop to go and serve that way? Did they give you that flexibility?
We did. In Bloomsday, we absolutely did. We don't have a liquor license at Great Engine, and that's what got us to go to start the road for Bloomsday. But yes, we do have a retail shop in Bloomsday, and it's a good portion of our sales. It is I think what we learned all the time is that, and what I have to reiterate again with people whenever we bring new staff members in is no, we get customers of all different types because they might just be coming to us for the retail shop. Yeah. Or they might be coming to us for brunch, but it's they might be coming to us for dinner or drinks before they're going to another dinner. So it's we get so many different types of people in, and we're that place for you in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. I mean, having that flexibility of running a business can go back to when you were on that farm and just being how are we going to use this space that we have to generate the revenue we need? And it's always going to be changing. Look, coffee shop in the burbs, wine bar in the city. It's enough for most people. What made you want to open up a third space?
Well, it was actually something that started at Green Engine. Me.
The royal we.
The royal we very selfishly wanted to start our own baking program. And this is me as a culinary student who never wanted to bake and always got stuck baking whenever I was in jobs. We need to differentiate our voice. We need to be able to offer something that other coffee shops don't. We need to make it a reason for something to come in here. So I actually started the baking program at Green Engine under that way. We were doing muffins and cookies and all sorts of things. But what led into like something that stood out for us was our Pop-Tart. And it was something my business partner has so many great ideas. But I know he's actually into one when he says it 3 times. So I'm like, okay,
rule of
I'll
threes.
listen to this idea.
Okay.
Rule of 3. I was like, okay, I'll listen. And he was like, Pop-Tarts. And I'm like, okay, calm down. And he's like, no, we should do a Pop-Tart. And I'm like, and he's like, what about Pop-Tarts? And I'm like, okay. So I like looked at it and I started working on it, and I didn't know what I was doing as far as like I was hand laminating it. I didn't know I was doing that. I was just folding it because it was coming off the cutting board. Sure. And made it what I needed to. But how I was doing this process really made this like light and flaky thing. And I was able to rotate the flavor seasonally, and kids love them and parents love them, and they're nostalgic, and they're easily portable. So like transportation was great. And we got really well known for that. And our demand for pastries got so big at Green Engine that I really wanted to bring in someone who knew more than me and who could do this. So we partnered with a pastry chef at that point in time, especially because we were opening Bloomsday. And then also at that point in time, we got approval to use our basement space. And so when we were able to do that in Bloomsday, we decided to put a bakery in. So we opened Bloomsday with this pastry chef who was doing a whole French lamination program. And then we still had our baking program out of Green Engine. And then when the pandemic hit, we decided we were going to make everything at Bloomsday and then sell them both at Bloomsday and Green Engine. So transpire this to why we opened Loretta's.
I see.
I was always selling I was always selling so many pastries out of Green Engine, but Bloomsday we were an all-day cafe pre-pandemic. It wasn't financially feasible after the pandemic. We only sold these items on Saturday and Sunday. We were selling to the Eagles, but we were never talking about it because my thing was if we talk about it on a Sunday and have to make someone wait 6 days to try our product, they're going to forget about us. Sure. They're not going to like keep it in their forefront. So I was really wanting to find another space that was a little bit more affordable for us to do, to be open 7 days a week, to be able to serve a neighborhood. And the coffee shop next door to us wanted to end their lease. He had been here for a decade. He was just ready to be done. And we were like, we'll take it on. It was a low effort one for us as far as like, we
always
bake
nice.
Bloomsday, bring everything over.
Always not a bad thing to have one of those be low effort.
Yeah. And honestly, what it did for us, it's phenomenal. It helped us foot traffic wise, not only in the neighborhood, but for Bloomsday. It got us better brand recognition within the city. Our pastries had a place to be a forefront of knowledge for people, and like were able to stand out and have their own voice, which was great. And we have had success in a way we didn't expect to as quickly, which is great. But like we now at Loretta sell more pastries than we do at Green Engine and Bloomsday combined. And that was like something we never dreamed of. So it's been a great move for us.
So let me ask, I think the first rule of making pastries for the Eagles is you don't talk about making pastries for the Eagles, but that obviously has shifted because now it's everywhere. So can you talk about how that relationship started and then when you felt comfortable about telling people that you were supporting the birds in this way?
Well, for us, so Eric, the food and beverage director, is just so supportive of all of Philadelphia, small restaurant scene, small businesses. And he was introduced to our products about 4 years ago, reached out to our pastry chef at that point in time. He didn't understand what was asked. So we were like, what's going on? And so Eric was like, can you supply us? Our team members would really like this. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Why not? And then it just like solidified a relationship for us. We didn't talk about it for a very long time because for me, it was way more about showing consistency and being authentic to this relationship than it was more about like, we provide pastries for the Eagles kind of a thing. I just wanted to be respectful of that relationship. And then also just like, I thought it was really cool. My parents and I was like my brother's biggest fan there because he was like, this is so cool that you guys do it.
That's so awesome.
For us, when they went to the Super Bowl, it was like we had a few people reaching out to us that like low key knew that we were doing it. It was like, we should talk about it. And Eric, the food and beverage director, was always very supportive of us, like talking about it, because he always just wants us to win, just like we want them to win. He always wants everyone. He supports.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, that's the great thing about Philadelphia is that it's a very supportive city, and it's so awesome that you could be a part of this historical win. So I want to end on one last thing, because Loretta's has this great sort of nostalgic, sort of like homey vibe, and I know it's named after your grandmother. So I'd love to talk about the music and the vibe that is in Loretta's, just because you close at 2. It's a morning hang, early afternoon, which depending on who you are could also be your morning. But I'd love to hear what's on the soundtrack. How do you set the sonic scene?
The soundtrack is very specifically my childhood. I have like Paul Simon, the Cranberries, Britney Spears, some Spice Girls, everything. Like I also have Cher. It's just all things that I listened to, honestly, when I was cutting the grass.
I love it.
On my playlist. It's also just like there's this Sugar Ray every morning. It was a song that was on a playlist that I would cut my grass at my grandparents' house for. Like, it was one of my chores when I was 13 and 14. So it's just like songs that always remind me of my grandparents' house. And then also just like this very distinct point in my life, like when I started to cook and what cooking was for me, and like how much they were involved in my life too. So they were all songs that A, everyone listens to, but B, were a very specific time frame for me.
Amazing. Well, congratulations. If you want to visit any one of your 3 locations, which I have to say, the fact that you have 3 locations that survived the pandemic that are all very different is a feat unto itself. So hats off to you. Where can people go? Where can people try the different options that you have to offer? Yeah.
So Loretta's and Green Engine were open 7 days a week. All the 7:30 to 2 at Loretta's, and then Green Engine is 8 to 4. And then Bloomsday, we're open Wednesday through Sunday, Wednesday through Saturday for dinner, Saturday and Sunday for brunch. We're awesome, multifaceted, always available.
Amazing. Well, big shout out to Sid, Bailey, and Emily for setting this up. Can't wait to come in to one of the locations when we come home for Thanksgiving. We have another song from the archives and then a live musical performance here on Snacky Tunes on HRN.
This episode is brought to you by Plugra European-style butter, crafted for those who demand precision and exceptional results in the kitchen. With 82% butter fat and a slow churn process, Plugra gives you flakier crusts, fluffier cakes, and rich, melt-in-your-mouth pastries. Because great baking starts with great butter. Unlike standard American butters, which have only 80% butter fat, Plugra ensures the ideal moisture and fat balance so your recipes turn out just right every time. That's why professional chefs trust Plugra and home bakers love it. Plugra's slow churn process creates a smooth, creamy butter that gives dough a soft, pliable texture, making rolling, folding, and laminating effortless. Whether you're perfecting a buttery pie crust or layering a delicate croissant, Plugra helps you bake with confidence. Experience the difference for yourself. Find Plugra in stores near you or visit plugra.com. That's Plugra.com.
Hello, and welcome back to Snacky Tunes. Unders,
What's up?
welcome.
Hello.
How are you?
We're pretty good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. First spring.
Yeah.
First spring
Yeah.
afternoon, eating pizza, looking at people. I feel like people have gone nuts already and like have forgotten how to dress themselves.
I know.
They've just like shedded everything. They feel like they've burned all their winter clothing.
I noticed some people that are like walking around with jackets on, like they're not fully ready to commit to the.
But with cutoff jeans.
Yeah, it's like this winter has waged such psychological warfare. They're like, no. You understand? Tonight it's gonna drop to 2.
Yeah.
They're like, and I'll be prepared. You've gotten me one too
Yeah.
many times.
People are just not gonna get burned again. You know?
No, like fool me 9 times. Shame on New York. Fool me 10. I'm going to LA.
Yeah.
Do you want to go around and introduce yourselves?
Sure.
I'm Joey.
Hi, Joey.
Hi.
You play bass?
I do play bass.
Okay.
I'm Michael. I play guitar.
I'm Tyler. I play drums.
So we have been making a nice run of King Pizza bands, and I'm curious how you got brought into the King Pizza universe, which seems to be ever expanding.
I can. So me and Joey started the band, not on King Pizza, and went to shows, and we saw Tyler's in another band actually called Vominos. That's a 2-piece that is really awesome, and we saw those guys. Kind of became friends with them, and then things kind of worked out to where Tyler joined the band, and we kind of released our first LP on King Pizza. So.
And when you started, you didn't have a drummer?
We did. Joey played drums.
Drums and bass, or just drums?
No, just
Okay.
We had no bass player.
No bass player.
2 guitars, no bass, and now we have a better lineup, I feel like.
What was the creative decision to have no bass? Did you feel you didn't need it, or the kick drum, or just no?
We just
were
couldn't
looking.
find it.
We just couldn't find the right person.
I feel like every city has different needs, and it's like bass players and drum players in New York, obviously because of space for New York, but just like a bass player is ever wandering.
Yeah. I feel like every band, like big band that I hear of, like, is always like the bass player was not originally a bass player, and they had to like talk somebody into playing bass.
You just end up playing.
What sweet nothings do they have to whisper to you to take on the bass?
Most bands, I've been playing in bands in New York for like maybe 10 years now, and I always just ended up playing bass. At first, I was a guitar player, and I always wanted to play guitar, but I just found like it's easiest to get into maybe like a semi-successful band and just slip in with the bass. And I just enjoyed writing music on bass, and now it's like my main instrument.
You're like, did I say guitar? I meant bass. and for our culinary listeners who might not know how easy or hard it is to switch from guitar to bass, what is the difference, if any?
The way I approach it, I kind of look at it the same way. It's just no distortion.
Yeah.
Like
It's the top 4 strings of the guitar.
I like to play very melodically.
Yeah.
And what do you think people's hesitation is to be a bass player, or why do you think it's so hard to find a good bass player?
I don't think it's hard to find a good bass player.
I feel like it takes a certain personality, because you're kind of like in the background a little bit more than like a guitar player or like a lead guitar player for sure. It's like,
So do you think it's like an ego? Like you have to be like very confident to be a bass player because you're the bottom.
yeah, but then you
You're
have
just
like Thin Lizzy, who the lead guy, the main singer, was a bass player. So I don't know. Like, but I just feel like most rock
Sting
bands,
also.
Yeah, Sting.
My idol.
Thin Lizzy, Sting, the Unders.
In that order.
In that order. Well, we don't know. Let's hear a song and see if we can reorder
All right,
it.
yeah.
What are you gonna play for us first?
This song's called Questions. It's off our EP that we put out on King Pizza, also called Zeitgeist. This is the second track on that record. So yeah, Questions. Here we go. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4.
You talk about new lineup and a new sound. How has the sound evolved, and where is it going, and how are you developing it?
It's a good question. I would say the sounds started out as being more kind of like that song. Even though that song is on our new EP, but we've just because we've lost the lead guitar player, we've sort of taken on more of a rhythmic, sort of like a krautrocky, angular sort of vibe.
Sure, yeah.
There's not a lot of solos anymore, which I think is cool.
Except for a ripping bass solo.
Yeah,
Like a tight 5-minute bass solo.
I mean, it's when you're in the practice space, like doing that kind of stuff, you have to find things that fill the empty space that's left, from the lead guitar guy. So, yeah, I think that and then like just kind of the songs are becoming longer. I feel like,
but also shorter.
Yeah, and some shorter. Some
are longer, some are
Either
shorter.
5.5 minutes or 45 seconds.
Yeah, that's the new direction. Yeah.
And what do you think losing a guitar player? Why do you think it's affected the song length?
I mean, just because it's so formulaic where you're like, okay, verse, chorus, lead, and then chorus, and it's like now we just kind of can think of songs in a more deconstructed way. Does that make sense?
So, I mean, although it's somewhat of a creative constraint, it allows you to write different types of songs.
Yeah, I think so. And then get more into like finding a good groove. Like a lot of the songs we've written recently is kind of just Joey is playing like a bass groove, and we're like, that's cool. And then we just kind of like take that and like write it very quickly. Whereas like before, I was like writing the songs, and then the band was playing the song. This is more like a group effort, and the new stuff.
Have you brought in new musical influences? Have you brought in other bands? Like, we used to think about these were our music influences, and now we have these as new kind of iconic heroes.
Yeah, I don't know. Joey has.
I mean, you and I definitely we've been listening to a lot of like Noi, and that's kind of like
we like the krautrock German sort of stuff, and then like I don't know, just
a little more spacey.
Yeah.
What has been the thing that has carried through, though, that has continued to make the unders, where you haven't gone so far away from the beginning that even though it's a new sound and new influences and a new setup, they're like, this is still us from the formation till.
I would say that there's, like we were saying earlier, like there's the longer songs, but then we can always we always are writing like a fast sort of punk song that we're always like that. Yeah, let's use that. I think that's like kind of. That will always happen, I feel like.
A classic unders.
Yeah.
I was going to say it was the thing that is constant is Michael's beautiful voice.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe. Tyler has a pretty good voice, but we never give him a chance to...
Well, I mean...
he's barely next to this microphone, too.
The LP is not written yet. Final track, drummer solo, and a song.
Oh, yeah.
It's coming.
Oh, yeah.
Can we hear another song?
Sure, and this one kind of speaks to the newer sound. This is a new one called He Combs His Hair and Brushes His Teeth.
We have Pizza Fest coming up this summer. For the uninitiated, what can people expect?
Tyler, you want to take that one?
A lot of pizza, a lot
microphone.
of booze, a lot of bands from around the country.
Let's talk about the pizza. Who's making it? Where's it coming from? Do we have multiple vendors?
I'm actually not sure this year. Vinny's Pizzeria, which I actually deliver pizzas for, has done it in the past few years. We're still working on it, but
Vinny's Pizzeria's gluten-free pizza might be one of the finest pizzas in the city.
it's pretty good.
I feel like that is an unsung hero of pizzas. I mean, I know all the other things. The buffalo chicken is favorite, but I really feel that gluten-free actually opened my eyes up to gluten-free pizzas.
It's pretty good. It's almost like a quesadilla or something.
Yeah, or like a really good thin crust pizza, and you don't feel awful at the end.
Right.
And everyone's like, we'll just get one each.
Yeah.
We'll get one each. So Vinny's Pizzeria, where's it?
Well, I'm not sure if they're doing it this year yet.
Oh,
but
okay.
It's still in the works.
Negotiations are still in the works.
It has happened in the past, so.
And where is Pizza Fest?
They're all at the Gutter this year.
Amazing. The shows of the Gutters are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in Greenpoint,
Greg's been
Brooklyn.
working there for a while, and the show's gotten a lot better in the past few
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. I want to give a shout out to the sound guy, Johnny Molina. He's our friend, and he makes us always sound great. So hopefully.
Well, because, when they built that place, I don't think they were like, well, we're going to put a stage over the lanes and we're going to soundproof this room. And then, why don't we just open up a place in the back and then we'll just do it in there.
Yeah, I feel like people still don't know about it all the time. I'm always like loading in my gear, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "They're playing a show in the back." Like, they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
Let's
what?"
go past all the bathrooms.
Yeah,
Yeah, go back past the bathrooms where you think that you can't go and then keep going,
going, yeah.
and we'll be there.
yeah. Pay $10.
And pay $10. And you guys are going back to the studio this summer.
Yeah, hopefully soon in the next month or two with all this new stuff we have. Like, I don't know, like 16 songs that we need to like get down before we lose our minds. So yeah.
And will there be a different approach as the sound has changed into recording it, or will you evolve that as well?
I mean,
We're gonna change. The first two records we did were at Rose Studios, but we're looking to like change studios just for like a bigger room and more kind of dialed into what we need. But yeah, that's the only real difference. And then like obviously our sort of like sound has changed. We're a 3-piece now. We everything else was recorded 4-piece. So.
definitely want to get like some more like natural space.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Just like a big room and rock it out.
What do you mean by natural space?
just like in recording studios, you have like the big open live rooms. Hopefully, get into a room where we could just
Spread out.
yeah. Also, just have a bunch of excessive microphones on the drums just to make it bigger, just to fill in the gaps of
What- What's an ideal number of microphones on the drums?
I've been on recording sessions where there's 22 microphones.
You want that many?
20. Wait,
20, yeah.
only two were
Even-
excessive.
Even 20.
All right, we're gonna talk about
and even 20.
You don't have to play them.
I just sing into all of them.
Yeah, that's. Then we can finally get Tyler on the singing.
It's going to happen. You heard it here first. You've committed.
Yeah.
I can't wait. That's going to be my favorite song on the record. I already know it.
One voice, 20 microphones.
He'll do like
perfect.
22 microphones.
I'll do like the last song on the record, like an acoustic ending song.
It's gonna be very operatic and
Yeah, I mean, I can already see it being played out.
Yeah, it's
Well, we want to make sure we have time for one more song, but where can people find you, find tour dates, get information as a new records?
The-unders.bandcamp.com. All the music's there, and just check out King Pizza Records in general. King Pizza Brooklyn, I think, usually comes up with some King Pizza Records Brooklyn and Google will
I think
usually
you-
work out.
It just comes up.
Yeah, so
there's only one
and there's
King
a lot
Pizza.
there's a lot of good bands and a lot of good shows in the area. So check it all out.
We want to thank Mark from Shake Shack for coming by. We want to thank all of you for tuning in. What's the name of the last song you're going to play for us?
This song is called "Sleep for What." It's a newer song too. So you heard it here first.
Heard it here first, a Snacky Tunes exclusive. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.
I sleep for what? I
Wacky Tunes is powered by Simplecast. Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. Keep in touch at heritageradionetwork.org/subscribe.